Welcome back to the Barely News Crew, everyone. I'm your host, yours always, Alexis, and I am joined here by Peter Martinez. We saw something truly amazing. As much as a lot of you could have already guessed, we just saw Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. We are going to divulge every little thing about this movie. Big spoilers. If you want to see our spoiler-free review, please go on the Barely News Crew. I still can't believe we actually saw this movie. It's been, years in the making at this point. The anticipation build up. We had a hell of a night, and we're all very happy to say I think we all had a great time, and it was a truly remarkable film. So, Force Awakens takes place 30 years after Return of the Jedi. Luke Skywalker has gone missing.
He's disappeared.
And that's the movie. The search to find Luke Skywalker, and we meet new characters such as Rey, Finn, Poe Dameron, and of course we have the Resistance, the First Order with Kylo Ren, General Hux, Supreme Leader Snoke, General Leia Organa, and I think Han and Chewie pop in there somewhere, so...
Best Star Wars movie since Empire Strikes Back. I would go that far.
And this is already a couple days removed from having first seen it. I was expecting this to be a good movie. I think most people were expecting this to be better than the prequels, because let's face it, you couldn't get any worse than that.
Oh, yeah.
As hard as you probably would have wanted to try. But I think every person on some level was almost a bit shocked by how good it actually was.
The plot, do you mean the remake of A New Hope?
Pretty much, yeah, that's why. Because a lot of people are complaining that it's very on the nose of A New Hope. Like it's another Death Star. They even say that in the freaking movie.
Yeah.
You send a droid off on a mission.
I mean, I think it's very obvious they did that on purpose. Like, it's not like they knew what they were doing. Like, even in the movie, they're like, but it's bigger than the Death Star.
Yeah.
But it was very much they knew, it was a new Death Star. But in a sense, I feel they kind of had to do that, and they played it really safe, mainly because of just not only how much was riding on this, but how much people you really needed to win them over with this first film.
And how much would you say was riding on this? Like the whole damn deck, right?
For Disney, a lot. I mean, they already had their merchandise rolling. They already have like 3 films in production of Star Wars. They had a whole Star Wars expansion at Disneyland. Like, they had a lot of money riding on this one film.
And I think it's safe to say they were right to already start investing in all those different projects, right? Because the thing about The Force Awakens is that really, visually, and there are a lot of different components about The Force Awakens that make it The Force Awakens, and what I mean by that, it's a very unique film to the franchise of Star Wars. Just the way it's directed.
Oh yeah,
but the
best
camera
directed
work
so far. I think.
The camera work and the angling was just. You can definitely tell that was not George Lucas making this movie.
Within like the first 10 minutes, you're like, it's very beautifully shot.
Right?
Yeah, like
the
a lot of the stuff on
well.
Jakku.
Yeah.
It just looked so beautiful. Like the tiny Rey against like the big engines of the down to Star Destroyers. And just her like riding along in the sun in the background. Like it was shot very beautifully. It really comes down to the director, and J.J. Abrams is a very different director than George Lucas.
Obviously speaking, and another thing I want to point out that's very unique to this movie is the humor.
Oh yeah,
the humor. I don't think there has ever been this much humor in a Star Wars movie, and I think it's actually a good thing, because as much as we all love Star Wars, the original Star Wars, it very much was a film of its time, much like The Force Awakens is a movie of our time. And I think you can kind of tell on some level they borrowed some of the Marvel formula as far as their humor.
A couple of jokes felt like they would be in a Marvel movie.
Like, I think now we can divulge, what jokes really stuck out to you?
Easily the first one with when Kylo Ren gets him and he's like, do you go first? All right, how does this work?
When Poe and that set really the tone for the whole movie, which is brilliant. I mean, that's how you get a movie going.
But what I love too is because some Marvel movies go too far, and at points when it's supposed to be like impactful and stuff, and
sometimes
they'll have a joke.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm really hoping the Star Wars movies don't do that, because for this
they didn't do it here.
This movie, they did it like when stuff is meant to be scary and feel impactful. There's no joking. Like it really is. And
not like hide the zucchini with Banner and Avengers.
Yeah,
that's Marvel goes there. One that really sticks out for me is when Han, Chewie, and Finn are outside Starkiller Base, and it's like when it turns out Finn had lied to them about knowing how to bring down the shields, and it's like, well, just use the Force. And then Han's like, that's not how the Force works. And I want to get to this right now.
But
Harrison Ford, I don't think I have, aside from Empire Strikes Back, I don't think I've enjoyed Han Solo as much as I have in this movie. And you can just tell that both Han Solo, the character, Han Solo is back, first of all. If anybody you thought that Harrison was just going to phone it in, no, he gives it his all, and Han Solo is back. But Harrison, you can just tell how much fun he had on set of this movie. And it was just, like I said, it was such a delight to see him on screen for as long as we did.
It was easily my favorite is Harrison Ford performance in a long time. Like, you could tell he went out there, he tried, and he had a lot of fun with it. And that's Han Solo. That's all. And he really brought it.
And he had a huge part to play in this movie because Kylo Ren is his son, Ben Solo, the son of him of Han and Leia. I think a lot of people were predicting that, so I wasn't surprised. But it was still impactful when they said that.
But just for them to actually be true, and like just hearing them say like your father Han Solo and stuff like that, like it's a big deal because that makes it officially part of this Star Wars saga. This story,
and it fleshes out both Kylo and Han's character.
Oh yeah,
so much more than we ever thought it would be. From the moment he and Chewie got on screen, it was just like applause, applause, and applause. But I think one of the hardest things that we have to talk about is what actually happens to Han Solo, which is why we're the spoilers here. Heavy spoilers if you've only been watching. Han Solo's dead.
That's going to be tough for some people.
Has that processed yet? I mean, I remember, and I want to recap this. We watched this the first time. We were sitting, I think Kyle was in between us. And it was at that scene in the corridor when you see Han look at Kylo Ren. And the look on his face, you know what he's about to do. And you know what's about to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And I think for some people, well, yeah, everybody could see coming a mile away. I think it's a good thing because I think this is too important of a character to just like kill off in a second and then just forget about it. You have to have some build up to it. And the build up to it, my God, everything about that scene was just the way it was shot, the symbolism with the light coming in, and the father and son component, and it's mirroring in some respects to what happened with Ben and Darth Vader, and then with Luke and Vader in Empire, and then with Vader and Luke again in Jedi, about how the different choices that were made, and it going in a way that we've seen in Star Wars before, but not as impactful. And I remember when Kylo stabbed Han with his lightsaber. I just remember we were bracing ourselves for it, and
because you know it was coming. Like
when it happened, we all just jumped like that. Oh my God! And
so like
the whole theater was just
again because it's like it's official. He is dead. Like it's part of the Star Wars story now. So it's like. But I also loved that scene so much, and I love that they did it.
Yeah, and it was a much needed punch to the gut. The Force Awakens.
And I know a lot of people are mad, like, oh, how could you kill Han Solo off like that? Like, I think some people's love of Han Solo is sort of getting in the way of the overall story, because I think it was necessary to the story because you saw, like you saw in the first film, a passing of these old heroes to new heroes, because the story's not about Han Solo and Luke and Leia anymore. We saw those stories; they happened. This is about Finn and Rey and Poe Dameron, and this betrayal by Kylo Ren to his father, and him falling further into the dark side, and who he is and how he's connected to maybe Rey.
Yeah.
You know, it just is beautifully adds fuel and drama to the next couple movies that are part of the Star Wars saga and the new Star Wars story.
I'm happy they didn't kill him off, because Kylo Ren, I think, is here to stay for the whole trilogy.
And I'm honestly, like, he became one of my favoriteest Star Wars characters.
Yeah.
Right, like, watching it, because, well, I guess we should jump into the new characters. We'll start with him. He is not what he appears to be
At all.
You know, you think he's this new badass Darth Vader, and when in the opening scene, that's what he comes off as.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when he stops that blaster shot midair, like that's something I never seen before in Star Wars, and it was so cool.
Now he just freezes people when he touches them. Yes. With the Force. I mean, what this movie does great is that they introduce new elements of how to.
Oh yeah.
And new mythology, I guess, components about how the Force actually works.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, and of course. That makes sense. Yes. Yes. Rey really stole this movie in a lot of ways.
Oh, completely.
God, please go into that, because
oh my God,
I think her story really parallels Luke's in a lot of ways. I mean, the desert planet, she's there kind of on her own. With her is that she has no family. She's just living on herself, right?
Which they don't say, which I'm surprised. They don't say who her family is. They just say one day they dropped her off, and she's been waiting for them ever since. Mm-hmm. And every day she's just living there waiting for her family to pick her up. And they never say who her family is. I personally believe it's got to be someone important, because I know some people say, like, they hope it's who her parents aren't important. She just happens to be a new Jedi. But you wouldn't be pushing that angle so much of who is her parents, who are her family, if it wasn't someone important.
Teasing that throughout the whole movie, like,
and if it turns out to be no one important,
it's a letdown.
It's not only a letdown, but it's like, it's stupid, and they sort of not ruined, but it would be a huge mistake, because you'd be teasing something that meant nothing. So it obviously has to be someone important. I personally think it's Luke's daughter.
I think that as well.
Some people were saying maybe Obi-Wan Kenobi's, like, granddaughter.
No, that's not, no.
But or maybe a bad guy's daughter.
That's a pretty interesting theory, but here's the one caveat, though. Look at Daisy Ridley. Mm-hmm. When they first casted her, nobody knew who she was. But what stuck out to me is she resembles Padme and Leia.
Yeah.
So it only makes sense, because when Kathleen Kennedy said that this was the continuation of the Skywalker story, I was thinking more Rey than Kylo Ren.
That's what I was thinking too.
Because Rey resembles a Skywalker. So I think, come on, that looks like Leia and Padme.
I think I'd be disappointed. I know it's obvious, but sometimes the obvious choice is the best
choice to go through.
Because then this has always been a family drama. Mm-hmm. And the thing I like about Star Wars is, and the reason why I'm okay with new Star Wars movies is you could have generations upon generations of just this saga of the Skywalker family, and the different things it goes through and their impact throughout the wars and trials and love of this galaxy far, far away. And something that's just so Star Wars is two cousins, one falls to the dark and one shines into the light, and just vying for the heart of the galaxy, and will it fall into darkness or light. And her and Kylo Ren, I think that's really a cool dynamic. Their family and they're going up against each other, and I think it would make the next few movies really, really interesting and very, very Star Wars.
And she is unbelievably strong with the Force.
Oh yeah, because it can't just be anyone if she is that strong with the Force.
Like, she gave Kylo Ren a run for his money.
She beat him.
She kicked his ass.
Yes.
That lightsaber fight, by the way, wasn't that amazing?
Yeah, it might be my favorite lightsaber fight.
Wow.
That's why I said, like, I gotta see it again.
Yeah.
But I remember watching it, I was like, this is exactly what I want from a lightsaber fight.
Yeah, yeah.
There's drama, then you have moments you're like, yeah, and then you're like, oh, you're heartbroken. And then it took the, like, sort of, the just, like, like the regular sort of hitting from the original trilogy, even though it did get much better as the movies went on.
Yeah.
It took that, and also the sort of beautifully choreographed, sort of like a dance sort of fighting from the prequels.
Yeah.
And they sort of found an in-between that I think worked really well.
Yeah, especially for this day and age.
So it had everything that I really wanted from what I would want to see. Every time they brought out a lightsaber, it was for a good reason. It wasn't just, this is getting boring, let's pull out a lightsaber, you know?
And I think as far as Rey, I mean, she's a gifted pilot. Do we need to be more on the nose about that?
She's great at fixing things. She's making machines and different things like that. You saw she was fixing the
Falcon?
The Falcon and everything. I mean, she has all the characteristics.
And Chewie likes her.
Of a Skywalker.
But then at the end, we gotta go right now.
Wait, we gotta hit one more character.
I know. I want to, because it ties into Rey.
Okay.
About the Skywalker thing, because we're talking about the Skywalkers. At the very end, we see Luke, right? Mm-hmm. And we see that Rey finds him, and she's handing his lightsaber back. The lightsaber that Maz Kanata gives her, that apparently was Luke's or Anakin's Skywalker, Anakin's lightsaber from the old movies. That moment, what a great way to end that movie, and to tease the next one.
That was a real tease, though. I was like, you bitches.
That's why there wasn't any Luke Skywalker in any of the posters.
But, I mean, you can't say that. It's not like they lied to you.
No,
they didn't slap his face on everything, and then you got 30 seconds of him. So they were at least honest with what's in the movie.
Yeah, because if they had put him on the posters, that would have been a real...
Like, you look at this poster...
These are the main people.
The biggest ones, you get the most. Han Solo at the center, you get a ton of Han Solo, you get a ton of him, everything. The only one maybe is
Phasma.
Who...
I think we got more screen time with Maz Kanata.
Oh, way more.
Right?
Yeah. Which I enjoyed that character too.
Yeah, we'll get to her right now. But I want to talk about... Okay, what do you think about the whole Luke moment?
The Luke moment?
The look on his face.
I loved the look in his face. Because it said a lot of things that we probably won't fully understand until not only the next movie, but maybe the last movie.
Yeah. Because it was like a 3-act part story.
The 9th movie, maybe. But you could definitely see a lot of pain, maybe surprise, and
a mixture of everything.
Yeah, sort of like a pain and surprise, I would say. And I really think a lot of people felt it went on too long, how they were just kind of do it like she was outstretched, but I think that was meant to really show that he's really reluctant. He didn't just go and take his lightsaber. He was he kind of doesn't want to touch it, you know.
He's embarrassed, he's ashamed, he's hiding for a reason, because he tried reestablishing the Jedi Order
and he failed,
and his nephew completely fucked everything up.
And I think that's what I like about these new movies too, and you could almost see this as a completely different just story in general. Like, it's not a continuation of this. It's like you had those movies and now it's these.
It's these characters, but a completely different dynamic.
You know, in the past, like, oh, they're the heroes, you know, they're always winning, and, you know, Stormtrooper, you know, they could be 2 feet away and they won't hit them. But here they show them, like, okay, that story's done. Now you see this one, and they make mistakes. Like, everyone just assumed he built up the Jedi Order and everything's happy. He failed, you know? And that failure, he failed his own family. He saw his own nephew fall, and he sees it as his fault. And how could he ever look Han and Leia, his family, in the face again, knowing that he failed them and let their son fall so much? I
mean, he must have his issues, considering the fact that Han and Leia split up because they couldn't look at each other because of what happened to their son. They couldn't
even look at each other. How would they be able to look at him? So it's interesting, and I think that's always been Star Wars' thing. It's a family drama. And they really put that back into Star Wars, and I'm really happy about that.
Okay. And we'll see a lot more of Luke in Episode 8. They're already
Oh yeah, you'll see him probably more than you see Han in this movie.
Probably so. Now back to the new characters. Finn.
I love Finn.
Finn.
He's so different than what I expected of him.
Right?
Because in the trailers, they always made him look so intense. He's always like... Every other scene is him running or scared shitless. he's always just moist.
Right? Yeah.
But he's actually really funny.
Yeah.
And
very likable.
You find out that I guess in this new First Order, they steal children and they just raise them
as stormtroopers,
as to be warriors.
Yeah.
And that's a really interesting dynamic, and I really like that. You know, he's known nothing else. He has no name except for what Poe Dameron gives him, which is Finn. And just even though he's raised in such like a terrible way, he still finds a lot of humor, and he still wants to do the good thing. Even though being raised around so much like evil, he's also not a coward, but like, well, yeah, a little bit of a coward. Like, he knows what the right thing is, and he wants to do the right thing, but he's just afraid.
He's afraid, yeah.
Yeah.
All of it. I think we have to say this start now. If you didn't say it already, all of the new characters are great. All of them, and you realize how that's a hard thing to do.
That's incredibly tough.
The characters.
I didn't even expect to like all the new characters.
Right, like with Maz Kanata, Captain Phasma, General Hux, Supreme Leader Snoke, Poe Dameron. You want to get into some of those right now?
Poe Dameron, he's just cool.
Right.
He's like Star Wars has always had those characters where they're not the deepest. But
he's a mix.
Cool.
He's kind of a mix between Luke and Han, kind of.
Oh, definitely.
It's really fun.
That's why he's like the coolest.
Yeah.
Like, let's take the coolest aspects and just throw him in there.
I keep forgetting to mention him. BB-8.
Oh my god.
BB-8.
Whoever did the little the remote control of him should get an award or something. Because everyone fell in love with BB-8.
Right. Yeah.
He's cute. He's funny. And he's like a little R2-D2.
Yeah.
And he's big. He really does feel like R2-D2's mini-me. Like when he finds R2-D2, he's like, wake up, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he's kind of like that's his big brother or something, and he misses him. And it's really cute.
Yeah, and I think it adds so much more that he's actually there.
Oh,
like that actual robot is there instead of, because if George, it would have been completely a CGI thing.
It would have been Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, Captain Phasma.
Well, they weren't lying when they said she was like Boba Fett.
Okay, who had more to do, Captain Phasma or Max von Sydow?
Max von Sydow, because he actually.
Oh my god.
He actually gave them the plans. He actually propelled the story.
Yeah.
Captain Phasma, she just shows up every once in a while, you know, submit your weapon for inspection. And then that was her thing. But I really do feel, because from this new movie shows anything, it's that Lucasfilm, Disney, you know, everyone in charge of Star Wars, Kathleen Kennedy, they really listen to fans.
Do you feel some people were saying that General Hux is overacting?
I see. That's another reason why I want to see it again. Because the first time I see it, I thought he did a great job.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are saying like, oh, he comes off way too overacting and cheesy. So I really.
Well, it's just the character.
I really gotta
maybe,
see it.
You know? That could always be how the character is.
I didn't see that either. So I definitely gotta see it again just to make sure. But yeah, I definitely feel in future films she's gonna have a way bigger
People
role.
were complaining about the motion capture with Snoke and Maz Kanata.
I'll be honest.
How that looked.
I had a problem with it too.
How? Why?
I don't know if it was because just so much of it was practical effects and it looked so real that whenever they switched to CGI, it made it look that much different. But a lot of the CGI, I felt like it wasn't that, not as good as I thought it should have been.
Well, those Raptors creatures weren't that great.
They weren't that great.
I didn't think Snoke's design was awful.
It wasn't.
Design.
It wasn't awful. I liked how there's history in his face.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be really interesting to find out who exactly he is. Cause like that's another thing we don't know.
Is he that big?
That's the thing. I have a feeling he isn't, and I really hope he isn't, because I don't want some big CGI looking thing and then especially if there's a fight with him.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see that. But they show that he's a projection for the whole movie.
That's true.
So I'm kind of hoping like he's one of those and villains reveal themselves to be that, like, he might be like a little bit like Kylo Ren, where like these scars and his maybe his failings in the past have really hindered hindered him, and to really show power and dominance, he makes himself appear so big, a Wizard of Oz kind of thing.
Yeah, that's true.
And I really hope it's something like that, but I still want him to be super powerful though, but just be a very damaged character, I think they're going in that route.
Yeah, they are. I think the people who are making these movies, guys, if you didn't believe in them before, believe in them now, because they know what they're doing. And consider this movie had balls. They had balls.
In some aspects.
They did. No, I mean in some aspects. They did in all aspects to save Luke at the very end. They had balls to kill off Han Solo.
As far as like retreading a familiar story,
no, they had the balls to do that as well. Because you can't think that has to be easy. Oh, I mean, people aren't that oblivious. You have to think that people are gonna complain that this is a bit too much like it, but you know what? Fuck it, we're doing it anyway.
I think it's the opposite. I think they were a little too scared to go out and do something.
I don't agree with that whatsoever. I think they had the courage to do exactly that.
I think it's something they had to do this time.
Yeah. But they still did it, and they had the balls to do that. Again, the humor as well. More humor used in this movie than any other Star Wars film. That took a lot of courage as well. I mean, a lot of new components and new aspects to this film.
They definitely made decisions that if I was running the show, I probably wouldn't do. I'd be very hesitant, such as not having Luke in it, like you said, killing off Han.
Yeah.
And just a lot of things that, if done wrong, you know, they would just have your head on a plate.
I know you had an issue with John Williams' score.
Yeah. I've been seeing a lot of reviews and not a lot of people touch on it, but it was probably the worst, I think, of all the Star Wars movies. It's not that it was bad, but absolutely nothing about it was memorable. Like, I walked out of there and the only songs I remembered were the callbacks to the original trilogy songs.
Well, I've been listening to the soundtrack throughout the whole weekend, so maybe I'm listening to it, but I actually love it. I agree. It doesn't have nearly as much of an impact as any of the, because the prequels had more iconic pieces of score than this movie did. Rey's theme was one that stuck out to me.
Maybe that's the only one.
The Jedi Steps and finale. I know they kind of used a little bit of the Binary Sunset in there, but I like the build up in that scene. It was like the very last end of the movie.
Like I said, they did a lot of, like, the music is by no means bad. I just said it's just not memorable. Like, when the music, like when she gets the lightsaber and like she's becoming one with the Force, like, and the music starts to swell and like every moment that you need the music there, it hits it and it's great. Yeah. But like there's nothing classic that, you know, one day you're gonna be like, oh, I remember when I heard that song in the theaters and stuff like that. Like Duel of Fates from Phantom Menace. Say what you will about Phantom Menace, that's an incredible original, like,
maybe the best part of the movie.
Yeah. And even though their romance is atrocious, but Anakin's and Padme's theme, their love thing or whatever, I think that's a great song. Like, that's a great song. And then the song from the final fight in the third one, Revenge of the Sith, Battle of Heroes, like, those are like great songs. And I'll hear like certain songs from the prequels and I'm like, you know, like I remember, like, oh yeah, that's a great song. And of course the originals, you know basically everything. But here there's not one song where I'm like I can't remember any of the songs except for the callbacks. So I'm not saying it's bad. It just there was nothing new there for me, like the way there has been for every other Star Wars movie before.
Overall, how would you rate this movie?
Basically the same thing everyone's been saying. Star Wars is back. This is a Star Wars movie. If you want to go into the theater and watch, well, you already came out. You're watching this.
Yeah.
Spoilers. But I think if you're like me, you wanted to go into the theater and see a Star Wars movie, this is a Star Wars movie. And does it have flaws? Heck yeah.
All movies have flaws, though.
But I wouldn't even say all Star Wars movies have flaws. Even the original ones, with how great they are, they got so many flaws if you really just sit down and think about it.
Yeah.
Especially the first one, which is my favorite, has a ton of flaws. But I think that's, like I've told you, Star Wars movies are really movies that have flaws, but because they get every single other thing so right, you just really, like, they just really, like, flow past you, you know? Like, the characters are great, the story, the music, the drama, the humor, the visuals, everything just ties together so amazingly that a lot of the issues that you might have really just sort of fade. And I think it really follows in that tradition, because like we said, the characters, the visuals, the story, the music, all of it was really, really incredible. And I would say, like, yeah, it's just a great movie, and it was well worth the wait, I feel, which was a very long wait.
What he said. I mean, there's nothing really else to say. It was a captivating experience. You really have to see this in the theater. I think I read that it's going to open up at a $230 million opening weekend. Which
well, that's not good enough.
Eclipse Jurassic World. Oh, come on. It's December.
It needs to hit 250.
It will eventually in the coming week. Don't worry about it. But the thing is, though, this is not only a great Star Wars movie, this is a great movie. I mean, it says a lot that critics groups are bending their own rules to see if they can add this movie in.
I hope so.
I just can't even fathom that. It's a great film. It's everything really we wanted it to be. We wanted to get out of a Star Wars movie, and I think that brings us to an end. I love this movie. I did. I loved it even better the second time. I'm going to be seeing it so many more times. I just can't wait to see it. We all love Star Wars.
I cannot wait for the special edition.
Oh, great. That's a story for another day. But for right now, we're going to be taking a long hiatus as far as Star Wars project is concerned. If you have any ideas or suggestions about what to do with more material as far as Star Wars stuff, please let us know. But until then, please enjoy what we have so far. We have reviews on all 7 movies, and of course the 2 TV shows, and we've had a blast doing the Star Wars project. I want to thank everyone who was involved, from Kyle Lira to Giselle Gallegos, Julio Dominguez, and Ariana Rosales, everybody who was just involved in making these special videos come out. It was something that I really wanted to set out to do, and I'm very happy that we actually had the chance to sit down and do all of them. It wasn't an easy process, I'll tell you that.
Nope.
But we got it done, and I'm very happy about that. And if you want to see more Star Wars stuff, we have our Force Awakens review on the Barely News Crew, plus much more programming with BNC Roundup. And also catch Red Spotlight Entertainment. Kyle has his After Dark, where you see me, Peter, and Kyle give our first fresh perspectives of The Force Awakens. And it sure was something, so please go ahead and check that out on his channel. And until then, we got one more roundup to go for the year. This is Peter.
Hey.
I am Alexis. And remember, you're always welcome to the Barely News Crew, which is the place for all things movie news and reviews. Until next time, happy holidays and happy new year. We'll be back in 2016. Bye-bye.